apply just once or any section, because some of them apply and they come back to our balances for aid for them to be able to pay next session. So I just want to clarify that.
I think you should take this match. If you have any other one, then go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Let me attempt to very quickly run through the questions. The first one was about, does NELFund address people who are outside of the tertiary institution? Because we have many problems with student children in orphanages, out of school. The law that set up NELFund only allows us to address the tertiary level institutions. However, the approach to education must be holistic. There is a Minister for Education in the person of Dr. Olatunji Maruf Alausa, who oversees a number of different categories of educational enhancement, if I can use that expression. Indirectly, we affect the chain beneath us, because if I paint the picture of somebody who is in a secondary school and has already made the decision that they're not going to go further even though they have the capacity, because this loan scheme is now there, they are encouraged to go beyond secondary into tertiary. There may be people even beneath that who are discouraged very early because they know they can't get to tertiary. But today, this holds out almost like a lifeline to say that if you can just get yourself up there, you will get this education because the government is prepared to fund. But as I said, the Ministry of Education and under the leadership of His Excellency as well, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has put in a holistic plan. Like with all these types of plans, they take time to materialize. But I think over time, we will see that. I'm very confident that we will see that. The other thing I should say, which you didn't mention, Your Royal Majesty, is that at the end of all of this as well, will they get jobs? This is not a question that was asked, but I believe that with the way the education agenda is going, it will improve the economic base of Nigeria, and therefore even at that end we will see differences, but it will take time. So the answer, sir, is that NELFund doesn't address anything outside of tertiary today other than skills development, which I can come to as well. However, it represents hope and encouragement for people not to give up too early. Thank you, sir. The second question was, how substantial is the intervention? So, one of the things that has happened over many years is that people have dropped out of tertiary level education. They've managed somehow to struggle to get themselves into a university, a polytechnic, or a college of education. Sometimes they've done 3 or 4 years, doing all sorts of, making all sorts of sacrifices. And then they get to a point where something happens in their family, maybe the loss of a parent, maybe the loss of work by a parent or somebody who's supporting them. And 3 years into a 4-year course, they are forced to drop out. This intervention has put paid to them. This intervention now allows people to apply for this loan and be able to stay on until they complete. So in that, using that as a measure, it has been very, very effective. The dropout rate is reduced. Added to that question was, 50K, people having to travel, is it enough? Is the intervention enough to help? The truth is, it will be enough to help someone. It may not be enough to help everyone. However, what we're doing right now is we're on a course of constructive and critical evaluation of the impact that we're having to see whether we need to make any adjustments. We haven't had the luxury of running a pilot program. Administration has come into office, hit the ground running to say, look, let's just stop people from dropping out. The thing we need to do now is begin to analyze backwards what has the effect been and what changes do we need to make. We will not be arrogant enough to stand here and say that we have a perfect system. But what we will do is we'll review what the outcomes are vis-a-vis made to see what changes we need to make. And part of that intervention or part of that analysis will also be drawn from the arrangements we're coming to with Your Royal Majesties, because we will get a lot of feedback and we're able to access your subjects. Thank you very much. Loan recovery and sustainability was a question that was also attached to that. This program is not sustainable based on loan recovery alone. Loan recovery is an interest-free program that allows people to start paying back 2 years after NYSC. Is not a sustainable way to carry this on. So the law has made provision for us to raise funds, donors, from philanthropists, from individuals who have a specific or special interest in education, from NGOs, from business people, from industrialists who are looking for better certified investors with management capital. We also have the ability to use the funds we have to invest in the funds we have. So again, for those who are really financially strong, it is not sustainable for loan recovery alone. And we have other ways of looking at this. And I should also say that if we look at the Malaysian system, the Malaysian student loan system is it was started by government and it's almost entirely private sector run. Before this intervention came in, everyone in this room, about now, is paying school fees for something. We represent a platform for that to be done more formally and more properly. So this is the way we would like to do this. This is an impact program to begin with, but of course sustainability is absolutely critical. There's no point in making it something that works for a few years and then stops. We're actively looking to see how we can involve the private sector and possibly at some point in the future even co-opt others who want to be more tied into this. We've already been approached by a number of industrialists who offered us funds to help them deploy it so that people can be trained for the industry that they have built and set up. Your Royal Majesty, Emir Lafia, my father, thank you for confirming the engagement we've had. We've been very busy trying to make sure that we move to the places where this is needed. Rather than sitting in an ivory tower in Abuja, pontificating to everybody about how good the scheme is, we actually go out and engage with the students. We look at their faces and let them know that this is real and that we're here to beg with them, to plead with them, to request them, to assure them that this is available for them and that we're interested in making sure that the money gets to them. Your Royal Majesty, the Akarigo, you asked a good question around freshness. So matriculation number is one of the prerequisites. And we discovered very quickly that actually that would disenfranchise people who are coming in early. So what we've done is that we've tweaked the system and we've allowed people to use their JAM registration numbers or their admission numbers. The reason we wanted matriculation numbers is because we targeted people who are already in the institutions who we didn't want to drop out. And we wanted to make sure that they were there. So we use matriculation numbers, but we recognize the disenfranchisement of those who don't have it. And as I've said, our JAM registration numbers and JAM reg numbers and admission numbers are now acceptable so that we don't lock anybody out of this. The final one was around technology glitches, access denied, move on. So, just very quickly, one of the things we do is that we ask all the institutions to provide us with information about their students, their matriculation number, their admission number, the students in their institution, their JAM registration number, their course level. They provide us with that information. When the student goes in, cross-checks with our database to make sure that there's a match, a little bit like you might do with your PIN number at an ATM. If the institution has put the wrong information there or has admitted information for any student, it will not work. So sometimes the student will go in and it will say missing information, go back to your ICT. It's a prerequisite. They have to go back to make sure that information is there because we're running an electronic handshake system and we don't interfere humans. So we need to be able to say if you want to carry on with this, you want to get this money, you can go back. Having said that, Your Royal Majesty, we recognize that whenever you're using technology, there'll be glitches, to be rain, things can slow down. Sometimes, we all experience glitches, even when we're doing everyday things. Even if we're going to sites in the US or in the UK or in China, there will be some glitches. We welcome the feedback where it happens. We have a very robust and strong IT team. We follow up on everything that we think might be a glitch, and we're constantly upgrading our system to make it easier for people to engage with. I don't want to abuse the time that I've been granted by your Royal Majesty. Those are the answers I have now. I'm happy to answer more.
Thank you. I think please can you pass the phone to Kabisi? I think we can take two or three more.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Co-Chairman. I'm glad we have the opportunity for this lecture here. We've got to encourage Mr. President for these initiatives and to assist with traditional rulers that are here assisting, giving scholarships to these students. The gentleman is from my village, and we've discussed on this issue before. He promised to come and have center in our domain. If we have centers and we traditional rulers who are in the know, I can't boast of numbers of students that are benefiting from this test form. So if we are able, and that is the purpose of we assisting the government in all this process. If we are there, we monitor the centers, we can feel proud. I can say, yes, I have 10 students from my domain, and many of us cannot boast of 20 students from our domain for getting this access for our students. Please, you promised the center for us to have it in our domain. Is it still coming, or you overlooked that side? Let the traditional rulers be in the know to give assistance. It is we that will say, we are benefiting from this text form. Our people from our domain are benefiting from this lesson. The center is key. Not everything will pass through the online, but if we have a center, people can assist these children in the center in our local area. It will be of great assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I think after you address this issue.
Thank you, Kamis. I just want to remind the MP that we're in the era of digital versus analog. Most of the students that fill these forms are highly digital, and the parents are highly analog. So how do you bridge the gap between these digital people who fill the form, make the claims, and go back and giving a sort of cover or protection to the parents who will not know that their students or their wards are benefiting from this program. Rather, the wards will now continue collecting from the parents and at the same time benefiting from this scheme. So we need to break that gap, bridge that gap by your technology or linking up the parents. Have a way to link up with the parents. That is what is going on. Your boy or your ward is benefiting from the program. So it will lessen the problems and the quality from the parent side. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So just before I go to the questions, I also want to just